This is where I left off on the first video. I'm cutting the fender loose. I cut the spring hangers loose, and I cleaned off all the powder coat, and I used a rust remover, like a navel jelly type rust remover, and sanded all the metal smooth. Used a Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer, gave it a good coat. I think it'll work well. Now I'm placing the spring hanger down, the front spring hanger, the one that has the bolt that goes through it. And I measure from the tongue back to the axle. Make sure that it's squared up on the trailer so that the trailer will track straight. If you get your axle crooked, your trailer's going to track off to one side or the other. So that's really important. Once I get them set where they belong, I weld them on. Now if you'll notice, the rear of the spring does not have a place for a bolt to go through. That's because it just slides into a box, like a piece of rectangular tubing that's welded onto the frame. And that way you don't need a shackle. As the spring gets compressed, it will slide back into that retainer. The donor trailer was originally a motorcycle trailer. It was powder coated. It was pretty lightweight. People used it for a jet ski trailer. The axles were good. They put bearing buddies on it, and that protected the bearings from the water. The fenders are in good shape. The springs are good. So I just decided to scrap it out and use it for parts. I made these two L brackets here to hold the rollers. Cut them the width of the frame rails. I cut them the width of the frame rails. And they'll support the rollers. I made these out of 2.5-inch angle iron. And you can see they sit up high enough, or the roller sits up high enough to spin without any rubbing. I welded one onto the rear of the boat trailer, and I loaded the boat up on the trailer so I can figure out where the bunks are going to sit. I was going to use the 2x4, but I thought, well, that might be a little bit too small. I better use the 2x6. So I decided to use the 2x6. I ran into a problem here. At least to me, I think it's a problem. The 2x4 wouldn't even fit between these ridges. So 2x6 will fit just between the ridges. Pretty good, except one of the ridges will be sitting on top of the 2x6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a channel down the center of the 2x6 to accommodate this ridge. The ridges down this boat are about 1/2 inch high from the bottom of the boat. They protrude about 1/2 inch, and they are approximately 1¼ inches wide. And they run pretty much straight down the boat. So I'm going to cut a groove down the center of the 2x6, 3/4 of an inch deep, 1 3/4 of an inch wide. That will allow the boat to sit on the 2x6, these surfaces to sit on the 2x6, and also this sitting down in the groove will line the boat on the trailer properly. I marked 2 1/8 in from the outside, and measuring that, about 1 5/16. I want to go to 1 1/2. I'll go ahead and cut it there, and then I will sneak up to the 1 1/2 inch mark. I'll do that by moving my fence over a little at a time and turning the board around. I'll cut one side, I'll turn the board around, cut the other side. I'll measure the width of the cuts. When I get 1 1/2 inches, I know that the groove will be centered, and then I will just start making a series of cuts down the center of the board and clear out the excess wood. First time I moved the fence, I moved it the wrong way. I moved it away from the blade, which made the blade cut closer to the center. So I moved it in the right direction, cut both sides, and as you can see, the width of the cut is 1 1/2 inches. Now I just need to clear out the middle. The table saw left a real rough bottom. Now bear in mind, I'm gluing indoor-outdoor carpet onto these bunks, and I'm going to wrap down in this groove. That's why the groove is a little bit oversized. One reason why the groove is a little bit oversized. The other reason is I don't want to have problems with the boat sitting on it. And so the table saw left a rough bottom, and I wasn't sure. I don't believe that the carpet would have stuck down on that rough bottom. Didn't look like it would stick. So I set the router bit a little bit deeper just to clean up the bottom, make it flat. Now it's nice, flat, smooth, and I do believe that the carpet will sit on those. I'll take a chisel and clean out these little corners right there. It'll be fine. I made 4 of these brackets out of 2 1/2 angle iron. Gonna have one at each end. That'll help keep this flat, keep it from cupping, warping. I left just enough room to drill these holes without getting into the channel. I wish I would have made this a little bit wider and drill those holes a little bit farther apart, but it'll be fine. I've measured the distance between this rear cross member and the boat here, and at the same place on the other side, and the distance is equal. So the boat is sitting level to the trailer, I guess you could say. These ridges are sitting on the roller, which I don't want them to sit on the roller. Okay, you can see the keel. It's probably 1.5 inches. It's probably 1.5 inches there, and it tapers to, I'm gonna guess, around 1/2 inch. Right there. When I rolled the boat up on the trailer, the keel rode in the center of this roller without the outer edges of the rollers touching anything. Now my theory is that this roller will guide the bow of the boat up to clear the bunks. As you winch the boat onto the trailer, it will begin to nestle in the bunks. There's another roller, well, I will put another roller on the cross member in front. That cross member there. So that as the boat goes up on the trailer, it won't hit that cross member. The roller will keep it clear of that. I'm going to roll the boat back. I'm going to roll the boat back where this part of the keel is setting on the roller. And then I will adjust the bunks with C-clamps until the distance between the boat and the trailer is equal, and I feel I have an equal displacement of weight on the rollers and on the bunks. I did a mock-up of the bunk bracket with some 2x4, and I've got the boat approximately level with the trailer. So I'll make the bunk brackets out of metal and bolt C-clamp them to the trailer. And I'll leave myself a little bit of extra on the bottom. And then once I have them clamped on, I will be able to make a line off the bottom of this trailer exactly to the length that the brackets will need to be, if that makes sense. Okay, I made 4 of these. These are going to be welded to the frame. They're going to hold the bunk support bracket like this. That way they can be angled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole 1 inch down, and in the center, this should be 2.5 inches. So 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and 1 inch down, which would be 1 inch from the bottom. This hole is 1 inch from the bottom. It's a 1/2 inch hole. It'll be flush on that side, and this will stick up above it. The angle iron will stick up above the bracket. That way it has a little bit of room to tilt. Now I'm going to take everything apart so I can paint it. But first I'm going to weld the fenders on. I'm going to take everything apart, put it up on stands, measure out where the fenders need to go, weld them in place, and then I'm going to primer the whole trailer. Now that the fenders are on, I believe all the welding is done, with the exception of a spare tire carrier if I choose to put one on. And I may go ahead and buy a ready-made spare tire carrier with the U-bolts and just bolt it on. This is the primer I'm using. Got the bottom primered. I'll let it sit for, oh, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, an hour. Let the primer dry up enough here. It's pretty dry right now. Let it harden up so I can flip it, course, this will be right underneath the tongue. On the bottom, you'll never see it. And I'll flip it over and primer the top. Now, when I get done painting, I will save this back piece for last, and I'll put the wheels on it, get it up off the ground, and primer this, let it dry, and then I will paint this. The last part I'll paint will be that right there where that bar is. The whole trailer is primered. I've just got to let it sit overnight. Then I'll come back in the morning and I will start spraying the color coat. The paint I'm using is Magic Tractor, Truck, and Implement Exterior Oil Base Enamel Ford Blue. And I'm using Magic Catalyst Hardener 8-0950-4. I'm mixing 8 ounces. I shook the tub a little bit so that looks higher than what it actually is. And I kind of guesstimated where the ounce marks are. Put an 8.5 ounce mark, so I'm going to add 1/2 ounce of catalyst hardener, and then I'm going to add 3.5 ounces of mineral spirits to bring it up to 12 ounces. All right, this is nylon and nylon blends rope. It's a rope I use on my winch line. Has anybody ever tried this before? That's a bowline. It's tying my hook on there. Bolins have a good reputation of holding strong and not coming untied. Little insurance. I don't know, what do you think? This is ATV winch line. I'm going to use it for a safety rope on my boat because a chain will mess up the paint. That's as hard as I can push down on those pliers. Try this again. That's as hard as I can squeeze. I think that's good for a safety line. Bought a trailer wiring kit. That white wire is the ground. I guess they figure you don't need a pigtail more than 16 inches long. That's ridiculous.